So those of you who come here, not just to observe, but to listen to the teachings for the sake of enlightenment, you have to have a correct, right motivation and attitude. And also myself, the expounder of the teaching, must also have the right motivation and attitude. At least some sense of dissatisfaction with a worldly pursuit or the samsaric pursuit is necessary. Of course, being a deluded sentient beings, we will always fall into our old habit of emotion, defilements, hope, fear. But nevertheless, somewhere behind our mind, back there, you should have some sort of a dissatisfaction to samsara. And of course, all of us have dissatisfaction of samsara, but there's also a sort of a blind hope that we can fix it. And it's this blind hope that we can somehow mend it, fix it, that one day it's going to be perfect. It is this mentality that sort of distracts us till now. So both listeners and the expounder of the teaching must have this kind of motivation or this kind of attitude towards our life. And then thinking that probably only the spiritual path is the answer to liberate ourselves from this kind of endless and futile entanglement. Then more sort of grander attitude of listening these teachings, not just for individual ourselves, but to really benefit many sentient beings. And when we say benefit sentient beings, not just giving them food, shelter, all kinds of worldly things, but to eventually enlighten them, or one way or another become a cause for the enlightenment of all sentient beings. And then I should inform you. I'm sorry for confusing many of you with what I'm supposed to teach. Originally, it was 21 Tara, and then few days ago, I thought maybe since Buddha Dharma is taking a root, quite a strong root in South America, in Brazil, then I thought maybe it's good to introduce you to some of the sutras. Because many times the sutras many times as a follower of the Buddha, we of course revere the sutras, but many students and practitioners, we get sort of carried away by shastras and the commentaries and the works of the disciple of the Buddha, not the Buddha himself. But then this morning, I received all these messages from different parts of the world that there are some people listening live stream, and I think the expectation is that they hear a little bit about the Tara. So now it's switch back to Tara. But since I have brought the sutra all the way from Khandroling, I will also just briefly introduce the sutra, maybe later today or tomorrow. So since you are going to hear about the Tara, and mainly the Tara teachings belongs to Tantra, therefore you should have another kind of motivation and attitude. So not only the motivation and attitude of renunciation and the bodhicitta, here you should also try to have some sort of a pure perception. Pure perception towards not only the teacher as the sublime being, but also the place as a sublime and pure realm, and as the listener yourself, you should also have pure perception. This is how our tantric teachings need to be conceived. As the teaching gets more and more profound, the usual way of listening and contemplation is not good enough to sort of hear the teaching and digest the teaching. Usually when you listen to the teaching, you can listen attentively, make notes, contemplate, discuss, argue, read. But as you receive more profound teachings, such as the tantric teachings, that's not enough. That it will only give you some vague intellectual idea, but to really conceive the tantric teaching, different level of listening method is necessary. So, way to create this level of listening method is creating the pure perception. With this kind of, even a glimpse of this kind of pure perception, if you listen to the teaching, then you may miss the teachings, you may not really hear the teaching, you may not remember what the teaching said a moment before, but the blessing of the pure perception will somehow conceive and contain and hear the teaching in a very profound level. So, Tara, at glance, as many of you know, is a deity, a female deity, and many times comes in the form of green and white Tara, very popular. And then there's also many different version of the Tara, different form, different color. And historically, many practitioners especially many practitioners of the Mahayana and the Vajrayana tradition have accounts of connection between the practitioner and the Tara. So many. Even the academic, popular academic place like Nalanda University, one would think that because it's an academic institution, Manjushri would be the only sort of presiding deity, but it's not just Manjushri. In fact, many of the Nalanda saints and the scholars of the past, they are follower of the Aryatara. The very popular Indian scholar and saint Atisha Dipamkara has revered Aryatara as one of the most important deity of his tradition. So anyway, there's that general concept that Aryatara is a deity. Then some of us might want to sort of find out who really Aryatara is. Then it, of course, gets more profound and complicated. But of course, again here, the general sort of answer is that Tara is embodiment of all the compassionate activity of all the Buddhas. Like the compassion and activity of all the Buddhas emanation in the form of a female deity. But there is even more. Like, if you really want to know what is Aryatara, then actually it is none other than the nature of all the phenomena which has, for the sake of communication, two aspects, emptiness and clarity. This all-pervasive, all-pervasive, ever-present emptiness and clarity in union is the Aryatara. So this is a very important point that some of us realize, because if it is not this case, then the concept of Aryatara will be similar to any other theistic gods and goddesses and deities. So on this absolute level, Aryatara is not limited to green, white, red, female, male. She is beyond all of that. Then you might want to ask this question, but in that case, why make all these complicated distinctions of 21 taras and colors and mantras and so on and so forth? According to Sakyapas, the great Sakyapas, there is a expression. It's in Tibetan. It's called Shembe Shugna Delve Milua, which is a very profound expression. Needs a little bit of explanation, so I will tell you. See, why we even practice it? Why, to begin with, why do we practice the Dharma? To achieve enlightenment. But that concept is very abstract, enlightenment. You and me have not been there, so we don't know what it is. It better be good. It can't be bad. So, but one thing for sure, in Buddhism, enlightenment is not a place that you go after you die. It is out of the lack of words and way to put it into language, enlightenment is a state of realization, the realization of the ultimate truth, realization of the truth. When you are no more veiled or deep in sleep with all the delusion. And delusion is usually looking at an illusion and thinking that it is real. That is delusion. When you awake from that kind of delusion, then you see the truth. So, what is truth? The truth, again, out of lack of human language, the truth, the absolute truth, is non-duality of clarity and emptiness. Actually, emptiness, shunyata, is the truth. And you should know, in the sutras, such as Prajna Paramita Sutras and the Shastras, many times shunyata is referred as yum in Tibetan. Yum means mother. Shunyata many times is referred as the mother, because it is through the realization of the shunyata, arhats are born, bodhisattvas comes, and then leads to Buddha. So everybody, all the enlightened beings basically arise from the realization of the shunyata. Okay, now you want enlightenment. And enlightenment is a realization of the truth. And the truth is shunyata. Now, this is complicated because how do you long for something that is un-longeable? In all the vehicles, what they do, the method usually is, even though this is unlongable, what we then do is we try to destroy what you usually long, which is the opposite of the emptiness. So we defeat what you long, like gain, praise, position, power, all of you. We try to defeat that, destroy that. Usually that's how the method works, because the logic is, we know by longing those things, we end up getting deeper and deeper into trouble and suffering. So by diverting ourselves from that kind of longing, we free ourselves from problems. Now in the Tantra, because Tantra is, there are many reasons why Tantra is supposedly superior and grander. And one of them is the infinite amount of method, endless methods. So in the Tantra, shunyata now has color, shape, 21 numbers, 8 numbers, 5 numbers. So the tantric method is to make you long for that. Because, and as we know, also the Tantra is so skilled in using the human habit and psychology and use that as a sort of the stepping stone, at least the stepping stone for the path. So, as a being, as a sentient being, we have this longing for mother, longing for sister, longing for a protector. So this psychology or this habit is used as a stepping stone, and infinite method of Tara as the mother, Tara as the sister, Tara as the protector, and all of that. Not just love and, like loving and kind of mental factor, but even, mental factors like feeling, like a desire, passion, aggression, even those are used as a stepping stone. So for instance, like those who have passion, those who have that kind of, desire, red Tara. So some of you may have noticed even the different form of the Tara exudes a different expression. For instance, like a green Tara has a more protecting kind of like even her body gesture. And some of the red Tara, like a Kurukule, is much more sensual and seductive kind of manifestation. And then there's a wrathful Taras, those who are like terrifying and destructive. So this is what the Sakyappa's expression is saying. Shembe shungna dreve milwa. You have. Shemba means longing or sort of attachment, almost like a longing. So you have a longing for a companion or a sisterhood. So using that, you approach to a deity like a Tara. You need a protection. With that kind of longing, you approach. And then you end up, and that longing then becomes like a link, like a communication link. And using that link, you end up getting nothing, which is everything. And this indicates a lot of other things. For instance, this indicates that deity is a lot to do with your perception. It's nothing beyond that. It is you who actually is making it. It's not like before you, Tara exists. The day you heard about Tara, day you have seen the Tara figure is the day Tara emerged on you. How she is going to communicate and function depends entirely on how you relate to her. Many of the souvenir statue sellers in India, for them, Tara appeared again and again in their shop, but I'm sure no blessings at all. For them, their perception is it is a stock to sell. That is the only perception they have. So it's a bronze, it's a wood, it's a stone, and that's it, nothing more than that. I met a Lama, old Lama, who was imprisoned in the Cultural Revolution, and he knew nothing to practice except the 21 Tara prayer, and that's all he did. And since he was in prison, he had a lot of time. So he prayed and prayed. And one morning, he had a dream. A small bird, green bird, came and touched his chain that he has on his feet. And somehow the chain sort of melted. And a few days later, I think there was a big famine at that time in China, big famine. So the prison guards also didn't have anything to eat. So they were completely sort of not diligent in locking the door. And so he managed to just walk out. So like this, it's really your perception. How you relate to her, how wholeheartedly you relate to her, corresponding to that, you will also get communicated by her, so to speak. But one thing, in India and especially in Tibet, Tara is a very important deity. Not a single lineage or a lama or a monastery that does not do the Tara practice. Almost all the monasteries in Tibet, the first thing they do in the morning is a Tara puja. She has a lot of influence. The cause and condition of us beings, as I told you earlier, for motherly figure and sisterly figure, that seems to be one of the big thing with us human beings. So corresponding to that, the image and the presence of the Tara is a very important cause and condition. And she's also known. So then all this concept of she is the embodiment of all the compassion of the Buddha, she is the embodiment of all the activity of the Buddha or the Buddhas. And then there's also this thing about how she's a very quick in response. This is a very big one. So all this creates the cause and condition. It does not mean that other Buddhas are not quick or not compassionate. It's just creating the right cause and condition. I myself have, from a very young age, of course, my family forced me to practice Tara. Then later on, of course, I have very shallow and diluted admiration towards Aryatara. And last 2 years, I'm interpreting, there has been several post-shopping depression. Post-shopping depression. And I'm interpreting this as her blessing. I have bought probably about 30, 40 Tara statues. Every time I go somewhere, there is always amazing looking Tara statues. So I just had to buy. Within course of 1 week, actually, I ended up buying 2 Tara statues. When I bought the first one, I thought, okay, this is it. No more now. But then I went to another shop that, for no other reasons, just like hanging around. And there, another one. And many of them are quite expensive. Some actually are, one of them is more expensive than my car. Anyway, so I'm trying to interpret that these are the blessings from her. And as a sort of, tribute and appreciation towards this continuous emerging and bombardment of Aryatara, I have actually now decided to commission the whole 21 Tara paintings. Now, there are so many types of Tara, belonging to different tantric sort of levels. Many of you are very familiar with the Tromge's Tara, which principal deity is the red Tara. And then there's the Chogyur Lingpa's one, which is also very, very popular. That one actually have outer, inner, and secret level. Then there is a Jamachense Wangpo, Chime Pamanyinti, the Tara with the consort. Just say white Tara. When that came out first in Tibet, it created a bit of a controversy. I think many Tibetans couldn't understand women taking the lead, because usually we have these deities with a male, with a consort female, but this one is the other way around. Then there's a very, very, very popular one is Atisha Dipamkara's Tara. Now, as I'm repeating here, different types of Tara, also many times different types of Tara may be not even referred as a Tara, but they are actually none other than the Tara practice. Like a Saraswati is another form of Tara. Vasudharani, which is a wealth for the wealth. She, many times she may be not known as a Tara, but she is. one of the emanation of the Tara. And like a lion face Tara or the lion face Dakini. So you can maybe then, this may be leading a question, why there are many different forms of Tara. Tara is known as and known and practiced quite a lot as a sort of a protecting deity. And when we talk about protection, then we also talk about different types of fear and different types of calamities, unfavorable incidents, negative shifts, and also force of collective negative karma, like plague, famine, bad leader, Argentina winning. And bad, also like, so there's many different levels like that. Kind of you can categorize it as more outer, inner, and secret calamities. Okay, so generally, most of us, ignorant beings, don't even consider the secret calamities as a calamities. Or the inner, some of the inner calamities also, we don't consider them as calamities. If anything, we may consider some of them as a, blessing, gain, good thing to have. Little do we realize that they are the real calamities. So there's outer calamities that we usually worry, such as earthquake, flood, fire, basically four element, degenerate chaos of four elements. War, famine, that's another one. And this is all in the classic text. Wild animals, those days, I guess a lot of obstacles from them. And diseases, and I think I already mentioned the plague, like not just plague, but unexplainable diseases. Javicheba, which is punishment from the ruler. I think in the ancient times, this is a very big, there's always unfair punishment coming from kings and all that. Bad omen, bad dream, and inauspiciousness, family disputes. Not just family disputes. That is supposedly, what do you call it? The problem of this age now. Dispute, disagreement, discontentment also. And dullness, loss of inspiration, to do anything, even to walk from here to there, basically. Yeah. Kind of. I don't know how this is difficult to translate. Anyway, things that I guess makes you. These kind of things causes like suicide, feeling pointless, meaningless, but not in that, profound way, but you create the meaning and then you create the meaningless, that kind of meaningless. And also problems like overly sensitive and overly not sensitive. Like you are so not sensitive, even a cheese grater is not good to turn you on. That only happens in England, so don't worry. Collective mistrust, loss of, mixed, what do you call it? Crumbling of relative order. I think, things like, these are very difficult to interpret. Things like, like in the school, like a public school, students are not even encouraged to respect the teacher. It's like, like not only not encouraged, it's almost like you don't need to. And if there's a demand of respect, then the teacher might end up, like going to prison in some parts of the world. I think this loss of relative order is quite profound, actually. Things like now, I'm interpreting this, of course, I'm not sure. I'm now, like in many developed countries, in the adults, in the pretext of, respecting the children or whatever, I don't know what is the pretext, but they do, they give they have an assumption, some sort of assumption to the kids that they can be in the family discussions, and instead of kids being left to be kids, but letting them involve in, which actually almost forces the kids to be quite fast and intelligent, but it's not really good. Anyway, these are sort of the outer. Some of them could be inner, actually, but outer more like a visible fear and visible calamities to protect us from that. Actually, I want to tell you this before, I get lost into all these myths of details. If you are a follower of the Aryatara, you should really supplicate to Aryatara to protect you from calamities that you don't know what you should be protecting from. But ask her to do that anyway. Because we don't know what, we don't know whether we should win a lottery or not.
We should be?
To win a lottery. Maybe it's not a good thing. Okay, so the inner calamities, anger, jealousy, suspiciousness, anxiety, all of that, I think. And then the secret calamities, which is the calamities that you should really worry about, is constant distractions to the dualistic world. We are talking about a very, very, very profound level of calamities. Even, like seemingly very, very mundane. Oh, I need a haircut. That could lead to a lot of things. that could lead to obsession towards hairdresser. I mean, on the other hand, oh well, forget it. I don't need a haircut. That could lead us to troubles too. It could lead us to divorce.
Why?
So basically, constant distraction towards, judgments. Okay, let's take a break, like 10-15 minutes, and then we come back.